Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, the Justice Department proposes big changes in federal drug sentencing laws. We'll talk about the changes with former U.S. Attorney Paul Charlton. We'll hear from an ASU professor and a student who participated in a global climate change conference. And we'll see how a local facility is improving the care and treatment of those with dementia. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder today suggested changes to sentencing laws for low-level drug cases with the goal of reducing the federal prison population. Here to talk about the proposed changes is former U.S. Attorney for Arizona Paul Charlton. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ted, for having me.
The idea of lesser sentences for non-violent drug-related crimes. Your thoughts?
What Eric Holder wants to do is to reduce the number of people who are currently being incarcerated for those low-level offenses. We have approximately 220,000 people currently in federal prisons. 47% of that number are there for drug-related reasons. There's an instrument that's used in the criminal law, Ted, in the federal criminal laws called mandatory minimums. If you have, for example, 5 grams of methamphetamine and you're brought into the federal system, you must serve, if convicted, a minimum of 5 years in prison. Eric Holder wants to begin to change some of those rules.
When did that particular mandatory minimum of sentencing start, and what has been the impact?
From the 80s into the 90s, there was a pendulum shift in the way we looked at criminal justice. We wanted to take away discretion that judges had, we wanted to take away discretion that prosecutors had, and we wanted to force prosecutors and judges to give certain and severe sentences. As a result, we did see a decrease in crime, but now Eric Holder says that cost is about $80 billion, too much for the current federal budget to handle, and we need to, he says, find a way to be smarter about the criminal justice system.
Too much because of overcrowding of the U.S. prison system?
We are at about 40% over our current capacity, so there are too many people in prison, it's costing too much, and he believes that this is one way to reduce that cost and reduce the number of people who are currently in prison.
And I think you said over half of these people in federal prison, therefore, is it lower level drug offenses or drug offenses in general?
47% of any kind, but what are therefore drug-related offenses. What Eric Holder wants to do is to find those low-level, non-violent individuals who are not associated with larger criminal gangs, give those individuals the opportunity to receive a sentence of less than what a mandatory minimum might be.
How do you figure out those people are worth taking a risk on? These are supposed to be low-risk first offenders, but how do you keep them from becoming higher-risk second, third, and fourth offenders?
That's the question, because about 40% of all individuals who are released from the federal system reoffend. How do you determine which of those 40% will not reoffend? That's going to be very difficult. What Eric Holder is betting on, what those within the Department of Justice are betting on, is that if we're picking non-offenders, non-violent offenders, low-level individuals, that they are less likely to reoffend.
Okay. Is there indication that that is the case? I mean, have we seen studies? It seems like I've heard about studies that show that a lot of times these lower-level drug cases, these folks do wind up leading to other problems.
A number of people will tell you, as I said earlier, that there is a direct correlation between the number of people we're putting in prison and the reduction in the rate of crime. If we let more people out of prison or we give them a lower sentence, there is a risk that we might see, again, an increase in the crime rate. The trick is to find a way to release people who won't reoffend, and that is going to be the difficult challenge here.
Has criminal justice research and studies, have they changed over the decades to where it might be a little bit easier to see, A, and B, if they are released and put into some sort of treatment program, how much of a factor is that? There
are different states who have acted, as the old saying goes, the laboratory for our democracy, and they have had some success in that regard. Texas, for example, is one of those states that Eric Holder pointed to today as a state that we, the federal government, should be looking at to determine whether or not releasing individuals into society, keeping them out of prison for longer periods of time, might reduce costs and still keep the community safe.
The U.S. attorneys, are they ready for this?
I think the U.S. attorneys will largely embrace the opportunity to exercise greater discretion on their own. If you talk to any prosecutor, any federal prosecutor, any local prosecutor for that matter, or any U.S. attorney, they're going to say, I would like to make the decision myself about whom to charge and what charges to bring. The risk there, though, Ted, is that you may see discrepancies between the kinds of charges that are brought, for example, on a marijuana case in Tucson and the kinds of charges that are brought on a marijuana case in Buffalo, New York. Different communities are going to require different sentences, and they're going to see different charges, and that discrepancy is sometimes difficult for people to accept.
And we're emphasizing here, this is the federal prison population. These are federal drug laws as opposed to state laws, correct?
In fact, the federal prison population is only about 13% of the overall population of prisoners in the United States. So this is a small impact on a small percentage of prisoners, but the Department of Justice has oftentimes taken a leadership role in making these decisions.
Is the country ready for this? Because the idea of, and we've had debates on this program before, there was a movement in the state legislature to lessen drug sentencing laws, and that didn't get too very far. Is the country ready for this? The idea that we can look at different ways to treat people who are only incarcerated for low-level drug crimes?
Soft on crime has never been a winning motto for politicians, but, Ted, there is this. In the Senate right now, Senator Paul from Kentucky and Senator Leahy, the Democrat from Vermont, are both working to give federal district court judges greater discretion on judge-related charges, which will mean, undoubtedly, reduced sentences in certain circumstances. So there does seem to be an increased appetite among our political leaders on both sides of the aisle for reduced sentences. How
much will that appetite be impacted by the private prison industry? Because I would imagine that they are looking at this and saying, hey, let's get active here. Let's start moving.
I don't think there's a bill that's passed in Congress that doesn't see its share of lobbyists, and you're certainly identified one that is very much involved in the criminal justice system.
Couple of quotes here. Eric Holder today. Incarceration should punish, deter, and rehabilitate, not merely convict, warehouse, and forget. You agree?
There are many people, as an old prosecutor, that I would say that applies to. There are those that I would say it ought not to apply to. There are certain individuals who committed multiple homicides who I would be happy to see put in prison and to forget about it. I'm certain the surviving family members of the victims would as well. I think here all things in moderation is probably a right approach. We do need to find a way to reduce costs, but keep the community safe. Whether or not Eric Holder has found that correct balance or not, only time will tell.
Indeed, the other quote was, we can't prosecute and incarcerate our way to a safer nation. Some would say we already have.
It is a safer nation than it was, say, in the late 70s and in the early 80s. Crime rates are down. Whether or not it's just because we have been prosecuting our way there or not, the sociologists will have to tell us.
Thanks for sharing your insight. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Ted.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
A group of ASU students and professors recently traveled to a UN convention on climate change in Bonn, Germany, where the students presented white papers on international climate change negotiations. Here to discuss the trip and the conference is Daniel Bodansky, ASU professor of law, ethics, and sustainability. And also joining us is Ashley Votruba, one of the ASU law students who presented research at the conference. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
This is an international UN conference. Give us a better idea what was going on here.
There's a convention that was adopted in 1992, UN Convention on Climate Change, and this was a meeting under the UN Convention. So it's a meeting of countries from all around the world to try to develop a new agreement to try to deal with the climate change issue.
When it's called a framework convention, is that what that means?
Yes, it's establishing the general system of governance, and now there are various things going on under that to try to push the process forward.
Is it similar to the Kyoto Protocol and those sorts of things?
So the Kyoto Protocol was developed under the Framework Convention.
Under the framework, okay, so a framework, okay.
And this is basically to develop a successor to the Kyoto Protocol.
And you guys were over there presenting white papers on a variety of research?
That's right. So the idea here of the project is to try to inject some fresh thinking into the climate change process. The process tends to get bogged down. It gets very path dependent. Once you're on one track, it's very hard to move to a different track. So the benefit of academia, an institution like ASU, is it can try to think more broadly and bring some fresh ideas to bear.
And actually, your ideas regarded wetlands and arid and semi-arid areas. Talk to us about your white paper and what you presented to the conference.
So my project was based on this idea of, is there something that we can gain from a bottom-up approach? And a bottom-up approach is one in which we let states, our countries, choose their own commitment levels. And so I used the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands and the Desertification Convention as examples of conventions that have adopted a bottom-up approach, and whether or not those things can be useful and effective.
What were those approaches and how useful were they?
So it's difficult to say exactly how useful they are. There are some benefits to adopting a bottom-up approach. Some of them are increased participation. States are more willing to get involved in an issue if they're able to set their own commitment levels. They can provide valuable information on science. There's funding opportunities that come with adopting those approaches. There are, of course, downfalls as well. So it's difficult to maintain a high level of stringency when it comes to a bottom-up approach.
How do you research such a thing? What did you do? Where'd you go?
So you do a lot of reading, basically. So a lot of reading into academic literature that has been published on these institutions. The Ramsar Convention, for example, was started in the 1970s, so it's older. So there's been papers written on its effectiveness. Also looking at research that's been done out of the different conventions.
And so basically you're looking at what, depletion of plant life and preventing depletion of plant life? Is that's part of what you were doing?
So for the Desertification Convention, yes, that's one of the measures, seeing if there's ways to help mitigate desertification from happening, and looking to see has it been successful in certain areas or not.
Do you look at a place like Arizona, or do you look at places that are trying not to become like Arizona?
So the goal would be to look at places that are trying to not become like Arizona, but looking at this from sort of a country level. So looking at, are there countries in Africa that have taken measures to move forward in preventing desertification from happening?
How did ASU get involved in all this?
My background is as a climate negotiator. I worked at State Department, and so I've been involved in the process for about 20 years now. So we were trying to find something where ASU could make a contribution to the process. It would be a real benefit to students by giving them a real-life experience, actually producing papers that go into a real process rather than just for academic purposes. So I developed it in conjunction or consultation with the UN Climate Change Secretariat, and tried to find something they thought would be useful contribution to the negotiations that are going on now.
So it sounds like this was an independent research project.
That's right, it was. It was funded by the Lincoln Center for Applied Ethics. The idea here is not just to be doing an academic exercise, try to do something that's applied and really practical and makes it actually is useful to the people involved in the negotiations.
We heard what Ashley focused on. What were some of the other areas of interest that ASU students participated in?
So we had 4 students altogether. One of them was looking at the human rights treaty system. How did that evolve? The way the Kyoto Protocol worked was to try to do a lot right up front, and it hasn't been that successful. So our idea was to look at other systems where it's been more evolutionary, step-by-step, incremental, and the human rights regime is developed in that kind of way. So that was one of the other ones we looked at. We also looked at the intellectual property regime, protection of intellectual property rights, and then we also looked at private international law dealing with commercial law aspects.
I was going to say a trade law, intellectual property law, all of this, and climate change. That's some pretty deep weeds there, isn't it?
Well, so we're trying to identify what are some of the key things facing the negotiations. So do they try to develop a single agreement or a series of different agreements? And so the intellectual property regime is an example of a system that has a lot of different treaties. People are worried it's not going to be able to work very well, but actually it's been quite successful. So we were trying to see, why is that the case? Why has the intellectual property system worked as well as it has? And see if there's some lessons we can learn from climate change.
Actually, after you presented your white paper and your research and the information, what kind of response did you get?
The response seemed to be pretty positive. We certainly had people who were interested in the work and who were talking to us afterwards. So hopefully some of these ideas will move forward and turn into something.
And how do you know if the ideas have moved forward?
It's difficult to say. It'd be interesting to see if, little pieces of what we presented maybe turn up in an agreement in the future, potentially.
Was that how you see it as well? Is there a way to track the information that ASU students presented?
Well, I think it's difficult to see the exact influence, but you can see where the discussions are now and where they end up in 2 years when the negotiations end up, and see whether some of these ideas can be traced through.
And as far as the students, what did you want them to take from all this?
We wanted to try to give them some sense as to how the international process really works, so they have a better understanding as to really, when the countries are negotiating, what are they concerned about, how do they interact, so that they're not just studying it from afar, but they can actually see it in practice.
And Ashley, what did you take from all this?
Much similar to what he said, just the opportunity to sort of see the delegations and happen, see how it works, see the complexity of an issue, really provided a new perspective.
Does that perspective now mean has it changed your career plans or your future goal? What's going on there?
Maybe a little bit. We'll see. It's still a ways away, but there's definitely, I certainly have an interest in international law and in climate change, so if there's a way to weave that into my future, I'd be up for it.
And are you hearing the same thing from the other students as well, that
That's
this
right.
is kind of a life-changing situation here?
I think it's really eye-opening to actually
Yes.
go to one of these meetings and see what it's like in practice.
Well, it sounds fascinating. It's good to have you both here. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We want to hear from you. Submit your questions, comments, and concerns via email at arizonahorizon@asu.edu.
A long-term care community in Arizona is receiving national recognition for its best practices in dementia care. Beatitudes Campus has created replicable ways to decrease prescribed drugs, eliminate physical restraints, and to generally keep patients more comfortable. Reporter Lori Allen and photographer Scott Olson visited the Beatitudes Campus to see the groundbreaking principles in use.
Look at the pots up here, see? Well, they've been there. We see those every once in a while.
Joanne and Philip Young married soon after they met.
On our first date, she laughed at my jokes, and she was a good dancer. And I figured, well, that's about all I really needed. And it's been that way ever since. We've been laughing together and having a great time.
60 years later, Phil visits his wife several times a day at a place unlike typical dementia communities.
Here you are, sweetie. You got to get your picture too, don't you?
Comfort first is the philosophy, with an emphasis on creating a sense of home.
The home that they're asking for may not be a reality any longer, but we're looking for those elements that stress the importance of home, those things that connect us to a broader sense of community, and those things that ultimately, at the end of the day, are the things that give us peace. All things really boil down to what makes you comfortable. So the individual who has napped in their living room, the person who likes their recliner better than their bed, should still have the opportunity to have those same kinds of patterns that have always made sense to them. So it's not my reality that's important, it's not what I say that matters, but it's rather what this person says that really counts.
Yeah, that's for you.
Alonzo calls the fourth floor the neighborhood, and taking away the dietary rules here helps.
I guess one is not too fat. No, ma'am, it's not.
When people have trouble thinking, when they have dementia, it's important to know that folks may not have the same kind of clock that everyone else has. And so being able to eat whenever you're hungry is really important. Being able to sleep whenever you want to is really important. So if the person happens to be hungry or thirsty, there's something always available that will help them provide a sense of comfort and security. You want to sit down for a little bit?
Alonzo is credited with many of the common sense ideas behind Comfort First. She'll tell you it's a team effort. Like almost everyone she works with, Alonzo got into this career because a loved one suffered.
My grandmother was my mentor and someone that I looked up to more than anyone else in life. And when she succumbed to dementia and started to show all the symptoms that we normally see, it was really heartbreaking for my family. But what I learned out of the experience is that there had to be something more. There had to be quality of life There had to be an opportunity to embrace who she truly was, and so I've been in pursuit of that.
That pursuit has meant the elimination of restraints, diapers, and many drugs.
Doris? All right, good.
And instead of scheduled activities, play is spontaneous.
What we're trying to do is to get people to realize that indeed there's this person inside, this beautiful, beautiful person, and there are so many other ways to make meaningful connection beyond the language of the brain, blah, 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 blah. The language of the heart and soul, through touch, through taste, through song, through a kiss, through a smile, all of these things. And from a change perspective, isn't this feasible? Isn't this easy to replicate? Does it cost a lot of money? No. Where's the change taking place? Between our ears, in our heart, isn't it?
Let me call you sweetheart. I'm in love with you. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Gallagher, a professional singer for 30 years, has found a new audience. It happened when she started working for Hospice of the Valley and collaborating with the Comfort First program at Beatitudes.
It's the most fulfilling thing that I've ever done in my life, every single day. It's difficult, but it's very fulfilling. You know, think about it. People with dementia lose their ability to think and interpret, right? So Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia are diseases of the brain. But they're not diseases of the heart, the soul, whatever elements of a human being you want to label it.
Everyone can do this. It is changing the way you think about giving the care.
And the Comfort First philosophy saves money.
When you anticipate someone's needs, you don't have to spend the money on products to keep someone dry. You don't have to buy expensive supplements or nourishments because they're eating good food. When you have someone who is comfortable, the staff that you have doesn't have to spend time trying to fix because they're uncomfortable. So the same staffing that we had back 10, 15 years ago is exactly what we have now. We always make sure that we have staff who know how to take care of the person. And so it is very economical. Being able to know that you help somebody to smile or feel that there was a special moment is priceless. It is the kind of thing that nurtures your own soul.
I know, yeah, I would want to go.
This is an intricate type of a hanging and tapestry, but we just comment on this almost every time that we come by because it's so pretty. You know, she can forget. Yeah, she can forget sometimes day to day, but then it's so nice to again be able to see something familiar like that, something we appreciate. Joanne's had her memory problems. It goes back, eight or 10 years really, but it was to the point where we always knew we were going to have some additional help along the way. And Beatitudes has an outstanding program for that kind of memory support.
It's kind of funny sometimes because she'll joke and she'll say, "Oh, I know he's messing around with other women." And he laughs and he gets a chuckle out of it, and he brings Daisy, his little dog, over and says, "Now when she tells you I've been with other women, why, this is the only woman I've been with." You know, and he has his little dog at his arm. So and she has a great sense of humor, and he does too, and they're so loving. You know, you can see it when they're together.
Oh, you're so cute. Honey, I love you. Next to Daddy.
We get by. We know that we just have to take it one day at a time. there's comfort in that.
Comfort First considers what some call innovation as simple common sense that allows residents the flexibility to live in a relatively unstructured manner within a long-term care environment. For more information, you can check the Beatitudes website. That's beatitudescampus.org. Tomorrow on Arizona Horizon, the governor's race in the state is becoming more crowded, at least on the Republican side. A discussion with ASU pollster Bruce Merrill. And we'll talk about a shortage of construction workers in Arizona. That's Tuesday evening, 5:30 and 10 on Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.